The year was 2008, and the world was in chaos. The global financial crisis was tearing through economies like a hurricane, leaving devastation in its wake. But for one man, the storm was about to hit with unimaginable force. Elon Musk, the visionary entrepreneur behind Tesla and SpaceX, was staring into the abyss. His dreams of revolutionizing transportation on Earth and in space were crumbling before his eyes. Tesla, his electric car company, was hemorrhaging cash at an alarming rate. The company's bank account was dwindling, with barely enough to cover a few more weeks of payroll. The promise of a sustainable future was slipping away with each passing day. But that wasn't even the worst of it. SpaceX, Musk's ambitious rocket company, had just suffered its third consecutive launch failure. The company's reputation was in tatters, and the dream of making space travel affordable seemed further away than ever. The weight of these twin disasters was crushing, and Musk was feeling every ounce of it. As the global markets tumbled, investors fled from Musk's companies like rats from a sinking ship. The bold promises and groundbreaking technology that had once captivated them now seemed like foolish gambles. Friends and advisors, once staunch supporters, began to whisper that maybe it was time to cut his losses and walk away. Even Musk's own family watched with growing concern as he poured every last cent of his personal fortune into his failing ventures. Inside the walls of Tesla, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Employees exchanged worried glances in the hallways, wondering if each day might be their last. Rumors of impending layoffs spread like wildfire, and the once energetic workforce was now gripped by fear and uncertainty. The revolutionary electric cars they had poured their hearts and souls into might never see the light of day. At SpaceX, the mood was equally grim. Engineers who had once dreamed of colonizing Mars now wondered if they'd ever see another rocket leave the launch pad. The company's future hung by a thread, and everyone knew it. The possibility of a fourth launch seemed like a distant fantasy, a cruel joke in the face of their recent failures. And what of Elon himself? The man who had captured the world's imagination with his audacious goals was now a shadow of his former self. He had taken to sleeping on the cold, hard floors of his factories, refusing to leave even for a moment. His once immaculate appearance had given way to disheveled hair and wrinkled clothes. Dark circles under his eyes betrayed countless sleepless nights spent trying to salvage his empire. Musk was a man consumed. Every waking moment was devoted to juggling the crises at Tesla and SpaceX. He bounced between conference calls, emergency meetings, and frantic problem-solving sessions. There was no time for rest, no room for doubt. The weight of thousands of jobs, billions of dollars in investment, and the very future of sustainable energy and space exploration rested squarely on his shoulders. The toll on Musk was evident to anyone who saw him. Gone was the charismatic showman who had captivated audiences with his grand visions. In his place was a man pushed to the very limits of human endurance. His eyes, once bright with enthusiasm, now burned with a desperate determination. He was a general leading to losing battles, refusing to accept defeat even as the odds mounted against him. As the clock ticked relentlessly forward, Musk found himself more and more isolated. The army of supporters and well-wishers that had once surrounded him had dwindled to a handful of loyal believers. In the quiet moments between crises, the weight of his situation bore down on him with crushing force. He was a man standing alone against a tide of failure, with the dreams of a lifetime threatening to slip through his fingers. The exhaustion was relentless. Musk's body cried out for rest, but his mind refused to yield. Every time he closed his eyes, visions of collapsing companies and shattered dreams jolted him back to consciousness. He was running on fumes, fueled only by an iron will and an unshakable belief in his mission. As the sun set on another grueling day, Musk found himself alone in his office, the silence broken only by the hum of computers and the distant sounds of a factory. Winding down for the night, he stared at the phone on his desk, knowing that his next move could determine the fate of everything he had built. With trembling fingers, he picked up the receiver and dialed a number. It was a long shot, a desperate plea to the one person who might still believe in his vision. As the phone rang, Musk's heart pounded in his chest. Would anyone answer? And if they did, would it be too late to save Tesla and SpaceX from the brink of oblivion? The line crackled to life, and Musk took a deep breath. This was it, his last chance to keep his dreams alive. As he began to speak, the weight of the moment hung heavy in the air. The future of two companies, thousands of employees, and perhaps even the course of human progress itself, all hinged on this one conversation. As we pause in this moment of suspense, a question hangs in the air, as heavy as the fate of Musk's empire. If you were days away from losing everything you had built, everything you had sacrificed for? Would you keep fighting or walk away? It's easy to admire success from afar, but faced with the crushing weight of imminent failure, what would you do? Musk's story is a testament to the power of human resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. It's a reminder that even in our darkest hours, when all seems lost, there's always a chance for a comeback. But it takes more than just hope. It requires an unwavering commitment to push forward, even when every instinct screams at you to give up. As we leave Elon Musk in this moment of crisis, poised between triumph and disaster, we're left to wonder, what will happen next? Will his desperate gambit pay off? Or will it be the final nail in the coffin of his entrepreneurial dreams? The answers to these questions would not only shape Musk's future, but potentially alter the course of technological progress for generations to come. The story of Elon Musk's fight to save Tesla and SpaceX is more than just a tale of business survival. It's a human drama of ambition, perseverance, and the relentless pursuit of a vision against all odds. As we move forward, we'll see just how far one man's determination can go in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. The mood at SpaceX was somber, the air thick with tension. 3 launches, 3 devastating failures. The future of the company hung by a thread, with one final shot at redemption. Elon Musk, his face etched with determination, gathered his weary team. "This is it," he declared, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "Our 4th Falcon 1 launch must succeed. Everything rides on this." Meanwhile, across the country, Tesla was gasping for air. Unpaid vendors, a mass exodus of employees, and a merciless media branding it a rich man's folly. The dream of revolutionizing the automotive industry was slipping away, one unpaid invoice at a time. Elon's life became a blur of cross-country flights. His days split between the launch pad at Cape Canaveral and the factory floors of Silicon Valley. Sleep was a luxury he could no longer afford. The man who once dreamed of colonizing Mars now found himself fighting just to keep the lights on. Desperation drove him to extremes. Houses mortgaged, credit cards maxed out, personal savings drained dry. Every dollar scraped together went to keeping his companies alive, paying salaries of employees who wondered if each paycheck might be their last. Elon's own lawyers, their voices tinged with concern and resignation, advised him to throw in the towel. Bankruptcy is inevitable, they warned. But for Elon Musk, surrender was not an option. The toll was immense. Late one night, alone in his office, the weight of it all came crashing down. Elon's shoulders slumped, his head in his hands. For a moment, the mask of the indomitable entrepreneur slipped, revealing the exhausted, desperate man beneath. But even in his darkest hour, the fire of his vision refused to be extinguished. September 28, 2008. The date etched itself into the annals of space history. At SpaceX Mission Control, breaths were held, fingers crossed. The Falcon 1 rocket ignited, flames licking the launch pad. As it rose into the sky, hearts pounded in unison with the roar of the engines. And then, it happened. The impossible became possible. Falcon 1 reached orbit. The eruption of cheers at Mission Control was deafening. Tears of joy, bear hugs, and triumphant shouts filled the room. In that moment, SpaceX had done what no private company had ever achieved before. They had reached orbit on a shoestring budget, defying the odds and the naysayers. For Elon, it was a moment of sweet vindication. The relief that washed over him was palpable. He allowed himself a brief smile, a moment to savor the victory. But the celebration was short-lived. Even as champagne corks popped at SpaceX, the specter of Tesla's impending doom loomed large. The electric car company was still in freefall, hemorrhaging money and teetering on the brink of collapse. The success of Falcon 1 had bought Elon some breathing room, but Tesla's future remained precarious at best. As he left the launch site, his mind was already racing, calculating the next moves needed to keep his automotive dream alive. Just when it seemed the roller coaster couldn't get any wilder, Elon's phone buzzed. A cryptic message flashed across the screen. Potential investor interested. Urgent meeting requested. His heart skipped a beat. Could this be the lifeline Tesla so desperately needed? As Elon stared at the message, a question burned in his mind, one that would resonate with entrepreneurs and dreamers alike. Would you risk every dollar you have for one last shot, if the odds were against you? The story of Elon Musk's fight to save SpaceX and Tesla is a testament to the power of resilience and unwavering belief in one's vision. It's a tale of a man pushed to the absolute limits of human endurance, facing financial ruin and public ridicule, yet refusing to give up on his dreams. In the weeks leading up to the fateful Falcon 1 launch, Elon's life had become a grueling test of will. He slept on the floor of his factories, working around the clock to solve seemingly insurmountable technical challenges. His diet consisted of whatever he could grab between meetings and test flights. Personal hygiene became an afterthought, as every waking moment was devoted to keeping his companies afloat. The pressure was immense. Investors who had once believed in his vision were now fleeing in droves. Friends and family urged him to cut his losses, to salvage what he could and move on. The media, always hungry for a story of hubris and failure, circled like vultures, ready to declare the end of Elon Musk's grand ambitions. But Elon refused to listen to the doubters. He knew that the technologies he was developing at SpaceX and Tesla had the potential to change the world. The idea of giving up, of letting those dreams die, was more painful to him than any financial loss or public humiliation. As the day of the fourth Falcon 1 launch approached, Elon pushed his team harder than ever. He demanded perfection, knowing that even the smallest error could spell disaster. The atmosphere at SpaceX was electric, a mix of fear and excitement. Everyone knew what was at stake. The launch itself was a nail-biting experience. As the rocket climbed higher and higher, passing each crucial milestone, the tension in mission control was palpable. When Falcon 1 finally reached orbit, the release of emotion was overwhelming. Grown men and women wept openly, hugging each other in disbelief and joy. For Elon, the success of the launch was more than just a technical achievement. It was validation of his approach, his willingness to take risks and challenge conventional wisdom. SpaceX had accomplished what many said was impossible for a private company, and they had done it on a fraction of the budget of their competitors. But even as he basked in the glow of SpaceX's triumph, Elon knew that the battle was far from over. Tesla was still in critical condition, burning through cash at an alarming rate. The global financial crisis was in full swing, making it nearly impossible to secure new funding. Elon's personal finances were in shambles. He had poured every cent he had into his companies, even borrowing money from friends to make payroll. The stress was taking a toll on his health and his relationships. There were moments when he wondered if it was all worth it, if he should just admit defeat and walk away. But then he would think about the future he was fighting for, a future of sustainable energy, of humans becoming a multi-planetary species, and he knew he couldn't give up, no matter the cost. The message about a potential investor came at a crucial moment. It was a glimmer of hope in what had seemed like an endless sea of despair. Elon knew that this could be Tesla's last chance at survival. He threw himself into preparing for the meeting, determined to make the most compelling case possible for why Tesla deserved to live. As he worked on his pitch, Elon reflected on the journey that had brought him to this point. The sleepless nights, the technical setbacks, the constant barrage of criticism and doubt. He thought about the employees who had stuck with him, believing in the mission even when things looked bleakest. And he asked himself that crucial question once again. Would you risk everything, push yourself to the absolute limit, for one last shot at making your dreams a reality? For Elon Musk, the answer was a resounding yes. He had come too far, sacrificed too much, to give up now. The story of how Elon saved Tesla and SpaceX in the same month is one of the greatest comebacks in the history of entrepreneurship. It's a testament to the power of vision, perseverance, and sheer force of will. In the face of overwhelming odds, Elon Musk not only survived but thrived, laying the groundwork for a future that would change the world. As he prepared to meet the potential investor, Elon knew that the fate of Tesla, and perhaps his entire legacy, hung in the balance. But he was ready for the challenge. After all, he had just sent a rocket into orbit against all odds. What was one more impossible task? The stage was set for the next chapter in Elon Musk's incredible journey, a journey that would continue to inspire and amaze, proving that with enough determination and belief, even the wildest dreams can become reality. After the triumphant success of SpaceX's fourth launch, Elon Musk had barely a moment to savor the victory. The euphoria of that achievement was quickly overshadowed by a looming crisis at Tesla. The electric car company was on life support, its bank account nearly drained, with payroll due in mere days and suppliers threatening legal action. Tesla had just enough cash to keep the lights on for one more week if they were lucky. Musk, ever the relentless entrepreneur, embarked on a desperate race against time. He crisscrossed the country, pitching Tesla to anyone who would give him the time of day. But rejection after rejection piled up, each no feeling like a nail in Tesla's coffin. Most investors saw the company as a lost cause, a sinking ship not worth saving. The media, always eager for a juicy story of failure, mocked Musk's electric car fantasy with gleeful abandon. Inside Tesla's walls, the atmosphere was thick with tension and uncertainty. Employees trudged on, pouring their hearts and souls into their work, all while wondering if their next paycheck would even materialize. The emotional toll was immense, with many questioning whether their dedication would ultimately be in vain. But then, just as all hope seemed lost, a glimmer of light pierced through the darkness. Daimler, the German automotive giant, expressed interest in investing a life-saving $50 million into Tesla. It was the break Musk had been praying for, but there was a catch. The deal had to close before Christmas Eve, leaving precious little time to navigate the complex world of high-stakes negotiations and legal red tape. With the clock ticking mercilessly, Musk and his legal team went into overdrive. They worked around the clock, fueled by caffeine and sheer determination. Sleep became a luxury they couldn't afford as they pored over contracts, haggled over terms, and raced to meet Daimler's stringent deadline. The pressure was crushing. Every passing hour brought Tesla closer to the brink of collapse. Musk knew that if they missed this opportunity, there might not be another. The weight of thousands of jobs, years of innovation, and his own reputation hung in the balance. As December 24, 2008 dawned, the tension reached a fever pitch. With mere hours left before Tesla would miss payroll and potentially implode, Musk sat down to sign the deal that would save his company. The pen felt heavy in his hand, the magnitude of the moment not lost on him. With the final stroke, it was done. Tesla had been pulled back from the edge of oblivion, saved by the skin of its teeth. But the relief was short-lived. Even as the ink dried on the Daimler deal, Musk knew that this was just the beginning. Tesla had been given a second chance, but its future was far from secure. The emotional weight of those harrowing days would linger, a constant reminder of how close he had come to losing it all. The media, which had been so quick to write Tesla's obituary, now scrambled to report on this unexpected turn of events. Headlines shifted from mockery to cautious optimism, though many still harbored doubts about the long-term viability of electric cars. For Musk, there was no time to rest on his laurels. The Daimler investment had bought Tesla some breathing room, but the road ahead was still fraught with challenges. He knew that to truly succeed, Tesla needed to do more than just survive. It needed to revolutionize the automotive industry. In the days and weeks that followed, Musk threw himself back into the fray with renewed vigor. He pushed his team to innovate faster, to think bigger, to defy the limitations that others saw as insurmountable. The near-death experience had only strengthened his resolve to prove the naysayers wrong. But even as Tesla began to find its footing, the toll of those desperate days lingered. Musk had pushed himself to the brink, sacrificing his health and personal life in the pursuit of his vision. The question that haunted him, that kept him up at night, was whether he could continue to bear that burden. How long could he keep risking everything, his wealth, his reputation, even his sanity, to keep his dream alive? As news of Tesla's narrow escape spread through Silicon Valley and beyond, it sparked a debate about the nature of entrepreneurship and the price of innovation. Some hailed Musk as a visionary, willing to go to extraordinary lengths to change the world. Others saw him as reckless, gambling with the livelihoods of his employees and the trust of his investors. The truth, as always, lay somewhere in between. Musk's actions had saved Tesla, but at what cost? The company had survived, but it was still on shaky ground. The future remained uncertain, with challenges looming on every horizon. For Musk, the experience was a stark reminder of the razor's edge on which his ambitions balanced. He had come perilously close to losing everything he had worked for, and the fear of that moment would drive him forward in the years to come. It was a lesson in resilience, in the power of perseverance in the face of overwhelming odds. As Tesla slowly regained its footing, Musk turned his attention to the myriad of challenges that still lay ahead. The company needed to ramp up production, improve its technology, and convince a skeptical public that electric cars were not just a passing fad, but the future of transportation. Each day brought new obstacles, new crises to overcome. But Musk, tempered by the fire of near failure, approached each problem with a newfound determination. He had stared into the abyss and pulled back from the edge. Now, he was more committed than ever to seeing his vision through to the end. The story of Tesla's near-death experience and miraculous recovery spread like wildfire through the tech and business worlds. It became a cautionary tale and an inspiration, a reminder of the fragility of even the most promising ventures and the power of unwavering belief in the face of adversity. For those who had been there, who had lived through those tense days and sleepless nights, the memory remained vivid. They had seen firsthand the cost of chasing a dream, the toll it could take on body and soul. But they had also witnessed the incredible potential of human ingenuity and determination. As Tesla slowly but surely clawed its way back to stability, The question on everyone's mind was, what next? Musk had saved his company from the brink of disaster, but could he transform it into the world-changing force he had always envisioned? The road ahead was long and fraught with peril. The automotive industry was notoriously difficult to disrupt, and Tesla faced entrenched competitors with deep pockets and decades of experience. But Musk had proven time and again that he was not one to back down from a challenge. With the immediate crisis averted, Musk turned his focus to the future. He knew that to truly succeed, Tesla needed to do more than just survive, it needed to thrive. The company had to innovate faster, push harder, and think bigger than ever before. The lessons learned during those dark days in December 2008 would shape Tesla's strategy for years to come. Musk had seen firsthand the importance of perseverance, of believing in one's vision even when all hope seemed lost. He had also learned the value of surrounding himself with a team that shared his passion and commitment. As Tesla began to regain its momentum, Musk remained acutely aware of how close he had come to losing it all. The experience had changed him, hardening his resolve and sharpening his focus. He knew that the path ahead would be filled with obstacles, but he was more determined than ever to overcome them. The question that lingered, that kept Musk pushing forward even in his darkest moments, was simple yet profound. Would you keep risking everything, even your health, to save a dream, on the edge of failure? For Elon Musk, the answer was a resounding yes. The journey had only just begun, and he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, driven by an unwavering belief in the power of innovation to change the world. In the months that followed, a remarkable transformation began to unfold. Tesla and SpaceX, once teetering on the brink of collapse, slowly but surely found their footing. The Tesla Roadster, that sleek electric sports car that had captured imaginations but nearly bankrupted the company, finally started to gain traction. Orders trickled in, then surged. The automotive world began to take notice. Maybe this Elon Musk guy wasn't so crazy after all. But Elon wasn't content to rest on his laurels. Even as the Roadster found its market, his mind was already racing ahead to the next big thing, the Model S, a fully electric luxury sedan that would prove EVs could be practical, stylish, and desirable. It was a moonshot, but after staring into the abyss, Elon had developed a taste for the impossible. Meanwhile, over at SpaceX, the mood was electric. The company that had been written off as a billionaire's folly had just pulled off the unthinkable. They'd won a massive NASA contract worth $1.6 billion. In a single stroke, SpaceX had gone from industry punchline to a serious player in the space race. The message was clear. Private spaceflight wasn't just science fiction anymore. It was the future, and SpaceX was leading the charge. For Elon, the financial picture began to stabilize. Those dark days of couch surfing and borrowed cash started to fade into memory, but the scars ran deep. In rare moments of vulnerability, Elon would admit just how close he'd come to total collapse. "I had a nervous breakdown in slow motion," he once confessed in an interview, his voice tinged with a mix of pain and pride. The media, always hungry for a good comeback story, latched onto Elon's tale with fervor. Headlines blared about the miracle turnaround in the Phoenix, rising from the ashes of Silicon Valley. Elon Musk became more than just a CEO. He was becoming an icon, a symbol of relentless drive and the power of vision over adversity. But success came at a cost. The toll on Elon's mental and emotional well-being was immense. In later years, he'd speak openly about the strain, the sleepless nights, the constant fear of failure that had haunted him during those darkest days. It was a side of entrepreneurship rarely seen, the raw, human cost of chasing impossible dreams. For the employees who had stuck by Elon through the lean times, there was a sense of vindication. They'd believed in the mission when everyone else had written it off as madness. Now, as Tesla and SpaceX soared to new heights, their faith was being rewarded. They weren't just building cars or rockets anymore. They were changing the world. Years later, Elon would stand on a launch pad, watching as another SpaceX rocket roared into the sky. The company that had once been days away from bankruptcy was now routinely sending payloads into orbit, pushing the boundaries of what was possible in space exploration. As the flames lit up the night sky, Elon's mind couldn't help but drift back to those desperate December nights in 2008. He thought about how close it had all come to crumbling, how many times he'd been tempted to throw in the towel, to admit defeat and walk away. But he hadn't. He'd pushed through, driven by a vision that most couldn't even comprehend. And now, as the rocket vanished into the stars, the fruits of that perseverance were on display for all to see. It was a moment of profound reflection. What if he had given up? What would the world look like if Tesla and SpaceX had faded into obscurity? Just two more failed startups in the Silicon Valley graveyard? The electric car revolution might have been delayed by years, if not decades. The dream of affordable space travel could have remained just that, a dream. But Elon hadn't quit. He'd faced down bankruptcy, ridicule, and near total collapse. He'd mortgaged his last possessions, worked himself to the bone, and pushed the limits of human endurance. And in doing so, he'd not only saved his companies, he'd changed the course of history. The story of Elon Musk's great comeback is more than just a tale of business success. It's a testament to the power of vision, to the strength that can be found in our darkest moments. It's a reminder that even when all seems lost, there's always a chance for one more miracle, one more breakthrough that can change everything. As we look to the future, to the challenges that lie ahead for humanity, Elon's story serves as both inspiration and challenge. It asks us to dream bigger, to push harder, to never accept the limitations that others would place upon us. Because sometimes, it's in those moments when failure seems certain that we find the strength to achieve the impossible. The road ahead for Tesla and SpaceX is far from certain. The challenges of revolutionizing transportation and conquering the final frontier are immense. But if there's one thing Elon Musk has proven, it's that he's not afraid of a challenge. With each new car that rolls off the Tesla production line, with each SpaceX rocket that touches the stars, we're reminded of what can be accomplished when vision and resilience triumph over adversity. So the next time you see a Tesla gliding silently down the street, or watch a SpaceX booster land gracefully on a floating platform, remember the story behind it. Remember the man who refused to give up, even when all seemed lost, and ask yourself, what impossible dream are you ready to chase? Because in the end, that's what Elon Musk's story teaches us. It's not about the cars or the rockets. It's about the power of human will, the audacity to imagine a better future, and the courage to make it real. It's about looking at the world not as it is, but as it could be, and then doing whatever it takes to bridge that gap. As we stand on the cusp of a new era in technology and exploration, Elon Musk's journey from near ruin to revolutionary success serves as a beacon. It reminds us that the greatest achievements often come from the darkest moments, that resilience and vision can overcome even the most daunting odds. So, as we look to the challenges of our own time, climate change, energy crises, the quest to become a multi-planetary species, we can draw strength from this modern tale of triumph. We can remember that even when the path seems impossible, there's always a way forward for those brave enough to seek it. In the end, perhaps that's Elon Musk's greatest legacy, not just the cars or the rockets, but the inspiration he's provided to dreamers and innovators around the world. The proof that with enough determination, even the wildest visions can become reality. So, what's your impossible dream? What world-changing idea are you ready to fight for, even when everyone else says it can't be done? Because if there's one thing Elon Musk's story proves, it's that vision and resilience are indeed more powerful than money. They're the forces that can truly change the world.